It should have been light enough by now to turn off the headlights, but the clouds and the rain had taken command of the situation. It wasn't a heavy rain, more of a dark drizzle, but enough to keep the wiper going. The rain didn't bother me because I would go fishing in any weather as long as the water wasn't frozen. It was a habit that I had adopted 6 years ago, after my 2 kids left for college. My married life took a turn for the worse at that time. For years I had anticipated the children leaving so that Marcy and I could spend a little quality time together, if you get my drift. Marcy went the other way. After the kids were gone, she found new interests and new friends that didn't include me. Of course, being the trusting fool that I was, I initially never imagined that it was anything more than that. Luckily, I found out before it was too late. "Danny? Danny? Wake up, we are almost there." Danny Green, my passenger and fishing companion for the day, let out a loud groan as he raised his head from the side of the truck window. After a few more grunts and groans, he reached for the thermos on the dashboard. "You are crazy, Terry. I have no idea why I let you talk me into this. I only get 2 Saturdays off a month, and you had to insist that I go fishing with you today. Why today? You know that I hate fishing." I was smiling to myself as I watched Danny spill more coffee on his lap than he got into the cup. That resulted in a colorful stream of cuss words as he struggled to wipe himself off and at the same time try not to spill any more. "It's special, Danny. I'll explain it all to you after we get out on the lake. I absolutely needed you with me today." Danny and I grew up together. He was now a detective with the Madison City Police Department, and I was an assistant director at the Department of Parks and Recreation. We both were fairly happy with our jobs and our lives in general. We were not what you would call the closest friends, but we were close enough to go fishing together. 10 minutes later, the rain had relented just enough so that we could launch the boat without getting completely drenched. Danny was still cussing and groaning as we pulled away from the ramp and headed for fishing waters. As to be expected, we had the lake all to ourselves. Nobody else was crazy enough to go out on a day like this. The coffee was gone, so all we had to drink was the beer in the cooler. Danny looked in the cooler and then changed his mind. Although it wasn't actually raining, it was damp and miserable. Not really beer weather. I just brought some night crawlers and a little bit of mush along. No minnows today. After drifting into a quiet little cove, we both baited up and dropped in a couple of lines. Danny got as comfortable as possible under the circumstances and stared me straight in the eye. He didn't have to say anything. I knew what he wanted. "Danny, I brought you along today because I need to get an alibi fish." That got his attention. "What the hell is an alibi fish?" It was not an easy thing to explain. Now that I thought about it, it would probably sound stupid as well. Of course, when I planned all of this, I thought it was brilliant. "Danny, I have to be able to prove that I was here today, fishing. I need you to verify this, and I need the fish to prove that you are not lying for me, just because we are friends." My friend gave me an exasperated look as he reached into the cooler. I didn't think he was going after the beer to cool off, but rather to be able to wrap his head around my ridiculous explanation. He gave me a weird look and waved his hand at me, indicating that he wanted to hear more as he twisted off the cap. I didn't respond. I went for the ice chest and got a long neck for myself. It was too cool for beer, but we both had one anyway. "Do you remember Hannah Marshall?" "Yeah. She married that trucker from Paxton. Big brute that everybody said used to run with the Devil Dogs. Roscoe Bousher. They got married about 8 years ago." "So what does Hannah Marshall Bousher have to do with your alibi fish?" "About 2 years ago, Marcy started to hang out with Hannah. At first, I just thought it was girl stuff. You know, shopping and having lunch and things like that." Go on, go on. Where are you taking this, Terry?" "Danny, I ain't the smartest guy in town, but it didn't take me long to figure out that Marcy was running around on me." "I don't want to get involved with this, Terry. I'm not going to stick my nose into your personal problems." Hold on. I am not asking you to stick your nose into my married life. All I want you to do is to verify that I was here with you today and that we have obtained the fish to prove it." "The alibi fish?" Danny asked. "Right. Without the fish, anything that you say might be suspect." Danny finished his beer, but didn't go for another one. "Damn it, Terry. I think you are watching too many detective shows on TV. That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard of. If I say that we were together fishing this morning, that should be the end of it." "I would feel better if we had the fish," I stated. I heard a groan come from my fishing partner as he pulled in his line. While he was putting on a fresh worm, he tilted his head sideways to look at me. "You haven't told me why we are here, Terry. You still haven't told me why you need an alibi." I hit the trolling motor for about 5 seconds to allow us to drift closer to the pads near the shore. I started to get seriously interested in what Marcy was doing, but I didn't know what to do about it. She isn't big on using the computer for anything, so I discarded the idea of trying to track any activity there. Marcy loved her cell phone, but I had no idea how I could get any information by monitoring her calls. Hell, I wouldn't know how to do it if I wanted to. "Okay, I get it. You're a technical klutz. What did you do?" "I got 3 voice-activated digital recorders at Radio Shack. I put one in the kitchen, one in the living room, and the last one in the bedroom. I had to move the one in the kitchen 3 times so that it wouldn't pick up noise from the refrigerator and the other appliances. Since we are here under these peculiar circumstances, I have to assume that this idea worked for you," Danny asked. "Yes. All I found out the first couple of weeks was that Marcy and Hannah were seeing 2 guys on a regular basis. That bothered me so much that I didn't listen to any more recordings for about a week." "Did you find out who they were?" Danny asked. "Hannah was seeing a guy named Simon who worked at the powerlift gym over on Bleecker Drive. I never got his last name." "We have had some problems over at that place. It is not the kind of establishment where housewives typically go to do aerobics." "What about Marcy?" "Do you know a guy named Carmen who works at Monsanto Motors?" "Carmen Cambria? Oh boy, are you lucky. That guy is trouble, big time. We have been trying to nail him for years now. How the hell did Marcy hook up with him?" "I have no idea, but it looks as if they have been seeing each other for almost a year." Danny grabbed 2 bottles out of the chest and tossed me one. "Okay, Terry. So now I know that Marcy is cheating on you with Carmen Cambria, but I still don't know why you need an alibi." Most of the time, the conversations that I pick up between Hannah and Marcy are not of any importance. Last Tuesday, when I got home, the recording from the living room was a little different. I made a couple of copies of it and put one aside for you. I stopped talking for a moment as I watched one of my bobbers jiggle around on top of the water. It stopped moving, so I started talking again. "Why don't I just play it for you?" Recording. "We have to do it on Saturday. Terry always goes fishing on Saturday and he goes alone. That means that he won't have an alibi." "Saturday sounds good to me, but we have to get it done early before Roscoe wakes up." "I'll give Terry's gun to Carmen right after Terry leaves to go to the lake. I figure he can get over to your place about 8 o'clock. Is that early enough?" "That will be great. Roscoe will still be dead to the world. He doesn't start to move till about noon on Saturday. Carmen said he would shoot him once in the head and once in the heart, just like they do in the movies. He will wipe off his prints and then leave the gun by the body. You can call 911 and report an intruder. By the time the cops get there, Carmen will be back over here." "Are you sure they will be able to trace the gun back to Terry?" "Absolutely. He bought the gun from a friend of his who is a detective. It is registered and easily traceable. Terry won't have anybody to claim he was fishing with him since he always goes alone. Just in case, Simon will be down in Atlantic City until late Sunday." "I can tell the police that Carmen was with me all morning, if it becomes necessary. It is time to put this charade to an end anyhow." "Wow, I hope that all of this works out. I'll get $2 million in insurance money and you can watch Terry go to jail for a long, long time. Hey, girl, we got to go. Coal opens in 10 minutes. Danny stopped drinking his beer and just stared at me. I never heard anything so stupid in all my life. What do you mean? I asked. Are you sure that they weren't pulling your chain or setting you up? What do you mean? I asked again. Well, maybe they found one of the recorders and knew that you were listening in, so they staged this little discussion to mislead you. I guess. Anything is possible. Actually, I didn't go to the police or call you earlier because I wasn't sure myself. Danny finished his long neck and stuck it in the trash bucket. Are they talking about the Beretta that I sold you 3 years ago? Must be. It is the only gun that I own. Hell, I never even shot the thing. It just sits on the night table by my bed all the time. Terry, if this is for real, it will get nasty. How so? I asked. You do realize that if you knew that murder was going to be committed and did nothing to stop it, you could be considered an accessory. Who was I going to tell? Who would have believed me? I played the tape for you, and you don't even believe it. And you are my friend. So you did nothing? Danny asked. No. Last night after Marcy was asleep, I took the Beretta out to the garage and disabled it. Disabled it? Danny asked. Yeah, I fixed it so that it wouldn't fire. My fishing partner let out a long sigh. Well, that's a relief. I feel a lot better about the situation now. Good move, Terry. We still hadn't caught a fish. Danny pulled in one line and took off the bobber. I watched as he fastened a lead sinker on the bottom and put a mush ball on the hook. He flipped it into the channel and fed out the line until it hit bottom. 2 minutes later, he pulled a foot-long sucker into the boat. Okay, good buddy. We got your alibi fish. Let's get the hell out of here. I have a feeling that I am going to get a phone call very shortly if your recording wasn't a sham. We were driving for about 20 minutes when Danny started verbally pounding on me again. Terry, I can't believe that you let this thing get so convoluted. It sounds like some sort of weird urban legend tale that you would read on the internet. Nothing makes sense. Come on. It's not that unbelievable, is it? It could happen. I don't think so. It is the worst planned crime of the century. Nobody would be stupid enough to try something like that. I can't believe you fell for it. Okay, Mr. Know-It-All. If the conversation was a setup, what were they trying to get me to do? Did they want me to call the police? Did they want me to warn Roscoe? Did they want me to confront Carmen? Hell, maybe Marcy just wanted me to leave and file for divorce. Why would they set something like that up? I don't know. I just can't believe any of it. Why would they leave a gun that was wiped clean of fingerprints if they were trying to frame somebody? What about GSR and DNA? This is not the 20th century. We have the technology now to clarify all of this evidence. Now, who is watching too much TV? Before they can get all of that stuff straightened out, I will be rotting away in a jail cell. Danny was just starting to crack a smile when his cell phone rang or whatever they did. Detective Green, what's up? As Danny listened to the phone call, I noticed he silently voiced the words. Oh, shit. Okay, give me the exact address, but it will probably take me 10 minutes or so to get there. Keep everybody at the house and don't move anything unless it is absolutely necessary. Danny turned the phone off and leaned back in his chair. I take it that you know the way to Roscoe and Hannah's place? 5 minutes later, he looked over at me. Stop smiling, you smart son of a b****. It's not funny. I was still grinning when we pulled up at the house. Danny quickly stopped the EMT guys while they were wheeling a gurney out to the van. As he looked over the occupant, he shook his head in disbelief. An officer in plain clothing approached him, and they were soon in a deep conversation, with lots of arm waving and indistinguishable shouting. There were at least 4 black and white units on the street with their lights flashing. Danny waved me over as they started walking towards the house. Detective Wallace, this is Terry Connor. Terry Don Wallace. As I shook his hand, he casually commented, "Oh, you are the guy who owns the gun." It was a comment sort of posed as a question. Danny stopped and turned to him. "Wallace, who told you that it was Terry's gun?" Don Wallace seemed a little uncomfortable at the question. "It was Mrs. Boucher. I asked her who the owner of the gun was, and she said Terry Connor without hesitating." "Don, how did she know that?" "I don't understand." "How did Hannah Boucher know that that gun belonged to Terry Connor?" "I am not sure." "Have somebody take her down to the station. We have a lot of talking to do." Detective Wallace went into the house. Danny glanced back at the EMT vehicle as it was leaving. "I couldn't catch much, Danny, but he looked to be in bad shape from what I could see. Is Roscoe going to be okay?" "Roscoe? Roscoe is fine. That bloody mess on the way to the hospital is Carmen Cambria." "Terry, I thought you said you disabled the gun." "I did. Hell, it took me about 2 hours," I replied. "What the hell did you do to it?" Danny asked. "I drilled a small hole in the barrel and then forced a bolt into it. It seemed to be blocking the barrel pretty well when I finished. I burned through 4 drill bits getting that hole done." "Why?" "Why didn't you just take out the firing pin?" "I didn't know how to do that." Danny sighed deeply and gave me a small grin. "It seems that Carmen decided to wake Roscoe up just before shooting him. I guess it was some kind of macho thing. Anyhow, when Carmen pointed it at Roscoe's head and pulled the trigger, it exploded and blew half of his hand off. He lost his thumb and 2 fingers. It only took a few seconds for Roscoe to figure out what was going on. He was still beating Carmen 5 minutes later when the police finally arrived. They had to hit him with a taser to pull him off. Well, I sort of disabled it. It didn't truly fire." "Geez, Terry, I can't believe all of this." As we walked into the house, Detective Wallace was bringing out Hannah in handcuffs. I guess he figured something out. Danny looked over at Wallace as he passed. "Go by 321 David Drive and pick up Marcy Connor also. And whatever you do, don't let the 2 of them get together. Use 2 cars." Roscoe was sitting at the kitchen table. An EMT was putting some type of antiseptic on his hands. It must have stung a little, but he never flinched. His head snapped up when he saw Danny and me. Terry, was that damn gun yours?" I looked over at Danny with a guilty expression on my face, unsure of how to respond. "Yeah, it's mine, but I didn't give it to him. I keep it in my nightstand for protection." "Well, it is damn lucky that you never had to use it. I don't know what was wrong with it, but I am one lucky son of a bitch." Danny realized my dilemma and jumped in. "Roscoe, Terry learned about what Carmen was going to do but didn't know how to handle it. He notified me this morning, but just in case, he jammed up the barrel of the Beretta. That's why it exploded." "Geez, Terry, why didn't you let me know?" "I was afraid that I might be wrong, or they might change plans if the first one didn't work. If it wasn't for real, nothing would have happened. I am sorry, Roscoe, but I didn't know what the hell to do. I did the best that I could." "Okay, I don't like it, but I understand. By the way, why didn't you just take the firing pin out?" Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Danny smile as I was groaning at Roscoe's obvious question. Roscoe stood up and put his hand on my shoulder as he walked toward the refrigerator. "Don't worry about it. You did fine. Weird, but fine." He grabbed a bottle of V8 juice from the top shelf and took several large swigs. I wandered outside as the police took care of everything else that had to be done. 20 minutes later, Danny came out and told me to go home. I wasn't looking forward to it, but Marcy wasn't going to be there anyhow, so it didn't matter. When I got home, I found that Marcy had a fresh pot of coffee. I guess she was expecting company. I had 2 cups and then plopped down on the sofa for a short nap. Getting up at 4 a.m. sometimes leaves me drowsy later in the day. The phone woke me up about 5 hours later. Terry, it's Wilbur. Marcy just called me from the courthouse and asked me to come down and post bail for her. She wouldn't tell me anything else. What the hell is going on? Why didn't she call you?" "Wilbur, I am afraid your daughter has gotten herself into a little trouble. She wouldn't call me, in fact. She probably doesn't even want to talk to me. You will have to get her to explain it to you herself, because I am afraid that you would not believe me." Damn, that sounds ominous. Is she hurt or anything? No, she is fine. When you get her bailed out, please take her to your place. I will bring all of her clothes and stuff over there as soon as I can. Can you raise the money you need? Yeah, that won't be a problem. What about the kids? Do they know? I'll let them know, Wilbur. Don't worry about that. After my father-in-law hung up, I grabbed a half-dozen trash bags and started filling them with Marcy's finery. I emptied the dressers first and then the closets and bathroom. Anything else that might be stored away she could get later. I put the alibi fish in with her best dresses and tossed the bags into the back of the boat. I called my son, Benson, at his Clarksville apartment. He had been stationed at Fort Campbell for the last 2 years. I told him that his mother got into a little bend, but did not elaborate. I knew that he had a lot more questions, but I didn't want to get into that at this point. My daughter Sharon was not quite as laid back about the whole thing. She has been living in Baltimore with her new husband for about a year now. Since I refused to explain things to her satisfaction, she let me know that she would be coming home first thing in the morning. She seemed a little upset with me for some reason. I didn't push it. 20 minutes later, I piled all of Marcy's bags on the front porch of her parents' home. No one was at the house when I arrived, and I didn't feel like waiting around. I went to the Outback for supper. I had a hard time finding a parking place with the boat on the back of the truck. I slept well that night. There wasn't much of anything that I could do on Sunday, so I spent the day inventorying everything. I decided that it was time to move on. I made 2 lists, what I could leave behind and what I wanted to take with me. It was pretty easy. I decided to take all of the money that I could lay my hands on and walk away from everything else. I didn't need the house, and since my needs were simple, I could get some type of job almost anywhere. I didn't see any reason to go for a divorce at this point. I just about had everything finalized when Sharon showed up. My daughter was unusually silent as we walked into the kitchen. She got comfortable as I made a fresh batch of coffee. The perk started, and I sat down. I am sorry about all of this, Dad. You don't have anything to feel sorry about. The first 5 minutes that I was talking to Mom, she was screaming that you tried to kill some guy named Carmen, who I had never heard of. I figured out later that he was her boyfriend. I had no idea that she was cheating on you. For over a year now, I replied. When I asked her why she was in jail and you were not, she went ballistics on me. While Grandma was calming her down, Grandpop took me into the kitchen and explained everything to me. Apparently, he got the complete story at the courthouse from Danny Green while they were getting her ready for release. Sharon, I am sorry that you got caught up in this mess. I was trying to keep it from you and Benson. This is all stuff that you don't need to know. I poured 2 cups of coffee and got her some cream. Actually, I know all I need to know. I came here to give Mom support, but I don't really feel the urge anymore. I am going back home straight from here. Do you need any help? No, I am all right, but I am afraid that this fiasco will cause me to become a local laughingstock. I am going to go away for a while. I don't know where and I don't know for how long, but I am leaving within the next few days. You are not going to stick around for Mom's trial? No. I have to give a statement tomorrow about what happened, but after that, they say I am free to go. If they need me for anything, they can always find me. I meant, are you staying around to help or support Mom? Are you joking? She tried to kill a man for insurance money and blame it on me so she could be with her lover and send me to jail for a few years. Why would I want to do anything to help her? We talked for 10 more minutes and then Sharon left for Baltimore. The day was about to take an interesting twist. I wasn't that hungry, so I just popped an English muffin into the toaster for supper. I first heard the rumble as I was getting the honey down from the cabinet. Before the toaster had finished its job, the rumble had grown into a loud roar and had really gotten my attention. I glanced out the front door and saw at least 30 motorcycles pulling up to the house. I had no trouble recognizing Roscoe on the lead bike. There was no discussion. He just walked up to me, handed me a dilapidated half-shell, and turned to go back to the Harley. I followed and got mounted behind him. As we drove away, I realized that I hadn't even closed the front door of the house. I was snickering because I realized that I didn't give a damn. At first, it was exhilarating, but after an hour, I had had enough. It wasn't hard to figure out that we were headed to Atlantic City, and I had a pretty good idea why. What I couldn't figure out was my contribution. By the time we arrived at the Taj, the number of bikes had somehow doubled. The noise that they generated as they streamed into the underground parking garage was deafening. The majority of the riders started going into the general casino area, while Roscoe, myself, and 3 others headed for the elevators to the main hotel. The 3 guys got off on the 7th floor, but my escort and I continued on to the top. I did notice that all of the security cameras had been coated with some type of foam insulation spray. Roscoe seemed to know exactly where he was going and how to get there. 2 minutes later, we were on the roof, overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. We were standing quietly, and he noticed me looking at him, as if silently wanting an explanation that I really didn't want. He smiled and placed his enormous hand on my shoulder. "You did fine, Terry. You did fine." About that time, the 3 guys joined us on the roof with a new player. Simon Walcott was definitely scared to death as he reluctantly arrived. Although he worked at a commercial gym, he was no match physically for Roscoe. Again, there were no words spoken. Roscoe simply grabbed Simon by his neck and the seat of his pants and walked him off the edge of the roof. 5 minutes later, the 4 of us were on our way back home. The rest of the group stayed at the casino. Roscoe dropped me off at the house. The other 3 guys had disappeared somewhere along the way. I handed him back the helmet, we smiled, and we said nothing again. I liked this guy. I slept well that night. Danny came by early the next morning. He had called several times Sunday night to check on me and got no answer. I just smiled and said I had too much to drink and had passed out. It went no further. It was a busy day. I had everything planned out and it all went like clockwork. I spent the whole day closing accounts and tidying up loose ends. I called Wilbur to see how things went at his end. He arranged for Marcy's bail and she was settled in at their house. He asked if I wanted to speak to her and I declined. I am not certain if she was up to it or not, but he felt obligated to ask. Hannah had no one to post bail for her, so she was going to be a county guest until her trial. I was just getting ready to go to Taco Bell for supper when Danny called again to let me know that Simon had been found dead in Atlantic City. He asked me if I knew where Roscoe was. He didn't think it was funny when I laughed at his question. His demeanor picked up a little when I told him to come over to the house to get his new boat. Hell, I didn't need it anymore, and I didn't want to waste a lot of time trying to sell it. I spent the next 4 weeks living with Sharon and her family. Every day I went down to the harbor and just milled around with all of the tourists. Danny was more than willing to give me the status of things at home. Marcy and Hannah avoided trial by pleading guilty to a variety of charges. They both received sentences of 3 to 5 years. The Atlantic City police had no idea what happened to Simon and were not even actively pursuing any investigation into the matter. Monsanto Motors mysteriously burned to the ground. More than 87 cars were lost in the fire. There were no leads. Carmen Cambria spent over 2 weeks in the hospital and was now awaiting trial for various charges, including attempted murder. Roscoe agreed to stay in the area until Carmen's trial. I seem to have lost all interest in fishing. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. It was supposed to be a simple Sunday dinner out. Jackie was on an early flight in the morning and would miss my 33rd birthday on Wednesday. She'd hired a babysitter, a teenager named Sarah, who lived a few doors down, and found an obscure little bistro near the college campus for my birthday dinner. We'd just been served our after-dinner drinks when a small group of ladies followed a man into the bistro. He was wearing a black leather Ascot Ivy driving cap and had a mid-back length scraggly salt and pepper ponytail and matching beard. Under his left arm was a box of books. One of the ladies in that group sent a little half-wave at us. "Who's that?" "Amanda. She was one of my bridesmaids. I wonder what she's doing here. I can't believe you don't remember her." "Dear, I only have eyes for you." As I grinned at Jackie. "What a bullshitter. I'm going to go see what's going on." So I sat there nursing my drink while Jackie's got cold. 5 minutes went by. Then another 5 before I went towards the area where they had congregated. Jackie was oblivious to my presence. The sign-up sheet indicated that this was Pierre Lecroix, author of romance novels. One of Jackie's favorites, as it turned out. She signed up on the email fan newsletter sheet. I did not, but I did notice that Jackie used a different email address, new to me anyway. That struck me as odd. This dude was turning on the charm. All of the ladies were dainty flowers or beautiful petals. It was enough to make me gag. Jackie became my gray-eyed butterfly. My eyes couldn't have rolled any harder. As I had no interest in this, and we had a babysitter to get home, I approached Jackie silently. Tugging on Jackie's forearm, "It's time to go. We promised Sarah we'd be home by 8. You go." "I'm enjoying myself. We came as a couple." "We're leaving as a couple," with a backhand brushing motion, as if dismissing a servant. "Just go. I'll catch a ride share home. I'm a self-sufficient big girl, you know. Give Sarah a $10 tip. There will be hell to pay." Making my way to the exit, I turned to see those gathered mimicking Jackie's brushing away motion and giggling. Jackie was lapping up the attention. Well, if Jackie is a self-sufficient woman, then I'm capable of handling the kids for a week. We'd promised them a trip to Orlando, and it was time to make that dream come true. Once my eyes quit shooting flames, I pulled off onto the shoulder and made 3 reservations for Orlando. The kids and I were going on vacation. Calling ahead, I asked Sarah to have the kids pack their rolling suitcases with enough clothes to last a week. Stopping by the ATM, I withdrew my daily limit. After making sure that Sarah made it home safely, a half-dozen doors down the street is all, I loaded the suitcases into our SUV. With both kids buckled in, I made a final pass through the house. On the main level, we have 3 doors leading out of the house. Upstairs, we have a deck outside of our upstairs master bedroom. With 3 door latches in place, I shut all of the lights off and climbed through the darkness into our master bedroom. I locked the bedroom patio door behind me. When I shimmied down the support beam, I ended up snapping the lattice which supported the clematis vines. Other than breaking a window or door, there wasn't a way into the house. I can't see Jackie figuring that out, but maybe I'm wrong. The kids were all over me trying to figure out where we were going and why Mom wasn't with us. Under the ruse of airport security, I confiscated the kids' wrist phones. Once in the boarding area, I turned off the GPS features on mine and the kids' gadgets and then immediately powered them off. We landed around midnight, but it still took until 2 a.m. to get settled into our suite. Both kids were wired, but some hot chocolate had them snoring quickly. On Monday, we did some of the independent amusement activities in Kissimmee. The kids were wiped out by the time we made it back to our suite. They were down for the count by 7. That's when I finally got around to powering on my cell phone. Jackie's first voicemail was at 1:48 p.m. Sunday night. That book signing must have been really popular. "Riley, open the damn door. I know you're in there." The tone of the next few messages was getting downright nasty. The message at 1:38 p.m. made me chuckle. "Mr. Parsons, this is Officer Riggins. Your wife has been creating a scene outside of your house. Please come to the door and talk with me. Or you can call me back on this number." I wasn't deleting a thing just in case I felt the need to call the good officer back. At 2:02 a.m., you fucking asshole. The police just told me to find another place to stay tonight. I need my laptop and presentation material. Open the fucking door now, or I swear I'll take you for everything in a divorce. Wow, if she doesn't calm down, she's going to have a stroke. For a self-sufficient big girl, she sure is stressing out. I still had at least a dozen calls to listen to, along with more text messages than I could count. That's when my phone started buzzing. It was Jackie. Too soon was my initial reaction, but I should probably let her know the kids are all right. It became another message to listen to. The more I thought about her statements, the more I realized I didn't know this woman. Divorce? Just like that? I called the credit card companies and reported our joint cards as missing. The resort has an ATM in the business center, so I snuck out for a few minutes and withdrew my daily max in cash. Jackie's parents had left a civil message, so I texted them that the kids and I were on vacation and having a great time without Jackie. Once I got around to listening to Monday's messages from Jackie, the vile in them told me her work-related trip was a disaster and that it was all my fault. She mentioned divorce again. It bothered me, but I was bushed, so I didn't lose much sleep over it. On Tuesday, we bought 3-day passes for Disney World. I thought very little about Jackie. On Thursday morning, my ATM card no longer worked. This was getting interesting. Still, with my work AX card and several days of cash withdrawals, the kids and I had enough resources to get home. By Sunday night, we were ready to go home. My eldest said something that shocked me. "This was really fun, Dad, especially without Mom. I don't think she likes us anymore." "She must be under a lot of pressure at work, son," was all I could think of on the spur of the moment. We found the house empty when we pulled in Monday afternoon. Not sure how, but the latch on the front door was no longer latched. Jackie found a way to get in. Upon further inspection, the latch on the back door was missing. The kids were exhausted, so I sent them to take a nap while I unloaded the SUV. While doing that, a florist delivery truck stopped in front of our house. The young lady handed me the vase while mumbling something about a nice day. The card was addressed to Jackie, but that didn't stop me from opening it. "Forgot to thank you for alerting me to Pierre's book signing. Too bad it broke up at 9. I was really getting into it. We need to do lunch or dinner sometime. Amanda." It took a few minutes for that to sink in. Jackie hadn't called until almost midnight. A few minutes later, I realized that Jackie was planning to meet Pierre, and that's why we went to that bistro. That made my next decision easy. As soon as Jackie got home, I was leaving for another 2 weeks. Her turn to care for the kids. Since I work at home, I've been their primary caregiver. Jackie will be hard-pressed to cope. I packed the SUV with my valuables, clothing, and work-related items. I also gathered all of Jackie's romance novels. I'd search them for clues later. Logging into my bank's website, I found our checking and savings accounts locked. At least the money was still there. I found our brokerage accounts unlocked, which I changed immediately. Hurricane Jackie pulled in, so I quickly gave the kids hugs and kisses. I told them I had a 2-week business trip. Mommy, interrupted my lynching. Jackie's eyes were drawing aim at me. I smiled, which infuriated her more. "Love to stay, but I've got a 2-week business trip. Kids are yours. Bye, guys," as I shot out the door. "Come back here." "You can't do that. I have my own business trip on Wednesday." I didn't quite catch all of Jackie's tirade, but it had something to do with my chicken shit ass getting back in there. Parking the SUV at the airport, I caught the shuttle bus back into town. My days were spent doing company work and researching the divorce laws in our state. At best, I could expect every other weekend and every other major holiday. Holidays would alternate every year, Christmas one year, Thanksgiving the next. Maintenance, isn't that a friendly word, was probably a little against me as I made more. Child support was a formula. I can certainly see why some thought it was cheaper to keep her. The calls and texts pretty much dried up. Seems like Jackie has decided on a strategy. If you dig around enough, you can find out all sorts of things. I found out that Jackie had, in fact, filed for divorce. It was just a matter of time before I was served. Game changer. I made an appointment to meet with a divorce attorney who dealt with father's custody issues. I wanted the kids and would do just about anything to get them, even though my research told me I was screwed. As I stared at my hotel ceiling, I decided to scan through Jackie's romance novels. 3 of Lacroix's novels had been signed by Pierre, including one on the night of my birthday dinner. I was researching where Lacroix signed books to determine where Jackie had traveled to. Was this an affair or just some bizarre infatuation? I just love the video feature on cell phones. The process server sent the minute-long video showing when Jackie was served. The divorce papers were delivered at work in front of her colleagues. To say she lost her cool doesn't do her performance justice. The ranting and raving eventually drew the attention of her manager, who sent her home. Once I surfaced, I was served with Jackie's divorce papers. Let the games begin. The early rounds were predictable, both sides seeking the gold and offering the shaft. My guy was able to get every other weekend with the kids. It was evident that Jackie was already poisoning their minds. How is it that a loving couple, if that's what we were, can go off the rails so easily? About 2 months later, the divorce was put on hold after Jackie was arrested for assault. Apparently, she made a big scene at a book signing event. I was in the gallery when her case went before a jury. The prosecutor was brutal. He introduced selected email threads individually, reading each aloud. Jackie's moans of angst were getting louder with each one. My sweet gray-eyed butterfly, please don't be mad at your friend, but I could no longer contain myself. She identified your email address from my fan letter sign-up sheet. May I call you Jackie? I so enjoyed our time together that Sunday night. Please use this email address, which I set up just for you. My press secretary responds to the fan letter email addresses. Love, Pierre. Pierre, as I told you that night. What we did was a big mistake. One which I should have never made. I need to forget that it ever happened. Jackie. I muttered bitch loud enough to get elbowed by my father, even though it was his suggestion. Jackie, how can you forget that night? I know you felt it too. We are meant to be together. But if you were only using me, then I understand. The look in your eyes that night told me otherwise, though. Love, Pierre. Pierre, I was not using you. Yes, I did feel something, and I still do. It's just that it has opened a serious rift in my marriage. What we did was wrong. Yours, Jackie. Each email thread drew more snickers from the gallery. The prosecutor introduced another thread from Plecroix@lit.com 5 days later. My sweet gray-eyed butterfly, if what we did was wrong, then I never want to be right again. I get hard just thinking about how our bodies molded together. Please be mine alone. Love, Pierre. Pierre, maybe I'll come to another book signing. Maybe, no promises, but I'm wet thinking about it. Your gray-eyed butterfly. Laughter and snorting caused Jackie to blush beet red. From Plecroix@lit.com, it was never my intent to interfere with your marriage. But sometimes love turns a blind eye when soulmates finally meet. What is happening with your marriage, my love? My ass of a husband took our kids for a week's vacation in Orlando and then left me alone with them for another 2 weeks. I was initially planning on filing for divorce just to get his attention, but now I feel I should follow through with it. And get this. Before he even got served, he filed for divorce and is petitioning the court for full custody. That's sad. Surely the court will side with you. My attorney is worried. Riley documented my lack of participation in raising the kids over the last year. Damn it. I have a very demanding job and he works from home. Let him keep those children. I want you to have my babies. Pierre, that is so sweet. But I love my kids. You could love our kids too. And if he wins custody, you'll have limited visitation. Think about it. The sooner we get together, the sooner we can start a family. I'll think about it, love. There was a buzz in the gallery, with many condemning Jackie for her willingness to even consider abandoning her children. A few spanks of his gavel, and the judge restored order. After several more love-struck email threads were read aloud, they got to the one that set the assault in motion. From Plecroix@lit.com. Jackie, great news. I will be doing a book signing in Elliott 80 miles from you. My new book is about our love. I'll have a dedicated copy for you sitting by my side. Please say you will come. My heart beats so hard hoping that not only will you come, but you will stay the night or possibly forever with me. Love, Pierre. My darling Pierre. Yes, yes, and yes. My divorce is now in motion. We are living apart now, and I'm letting him keep the kids more and more. You and our children will be the focus of my love. Yours forever, Love, Jackie. That drew groans and sobs from Jackie and snickers from the onlookers. Many knew what happened at the book signing. Once order returned to the court, Your Honor, I would like to introduce the police report involving Mrs. Jackie Parsons. At approximately 4:15, Mrs. Jackie Parsons pushed her way to the head of the line. Mr. Stanley Crude, acting as Mr. LaCroix, recoiled when she attempted to hug and kiss him. When Mrs. Parsons would not take no for an answer, she became aggressive. Security was called in to escort Mrs. Parsons away. She was screaming that she and Pierre were soulmates and soon to be married. At that point, Mrs. Crude introduced herself and in no uncertain terms warned her to stay away from her husband. Mrs. Parsons broke free from the security guard and attacked both Mr. and Mrs. Crude. She was arrested for those assaults. Just one more item, Your Honor. The police were able to determine that the plecroix@lit.com email account was established using Mrs. Parsons' home Wi-Fi. The prosecution would like to call to the stand Mr. Stanley Crude. After the formalities. Do you use the email address plecroix@lit.com? No, sir. Never heard of it. Were you at the book signing in Elliott? Yes, sir. That was my turn to be Pierre. By being Pierre, you mean acting as if you were Pierre Lacroix. Correct. There is no Pierre Lacroix. 4 of us take turns pretending to be Pierre. The book signing schedule is too strenuous for one person. If there is no Pierre, who writes the books? An ever-changing cast of pieceworkers, mostly college students earning a little cash. They get paid by the chapter. Had you ever met Jackie Parsons? Not until she attacked me. Were you the Pierre at the book signing in University Park? No, that was probably Jack Quigley. No further questions, Your Honor. The sound of Jackie's sobbing echoed in the courtroom. From there, the case against Jackie Parsons progressed quickly. She was found guilty. At her sentencing, she was ordered to perform 200 hours of community service and 2 years of probation. For Jackie, the worst part of that was how it affected her custody battle. She insisted that it was I who sent those emails. Lacking any proof, it made Jackie look unstable and delusional. The divorce court agreed. Jackie now gets scheduled visitations 2 weekends per month and alternating holidays. It is she who pays child support. Seems like someone has broken her spirit. Being the kind-hearted person that I am, every time a new Pierre Lacroix romance novel comes out, I have someone sign it. To my gray-eyed butterfly, Love, Pierre, and mail it to Jackie at her office. That woman has a foul mouth. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further.